Baseball Hall of Fame vote. We'll tabulate the ballots later today. I'm guessing Mariano Rivera, will he be 100%? Roy Halladay, posthumously, and Edgar Martinez will probably be the three inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. What I'm curious about is, where is Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens? Because right now, it feels like they're trending towards being on the outside looking in, but very close to going into the Hall of Fame. And this started a couple of years ago because it feels like the modern day or younger voter doesn't have as much of a problem as the old school guys. And if you look at Clemens and Bonds, they're going in together, because I don't think you can vote for one and not vote for the other. Because if you use the same logic, well, they would have been Hall of Famers before they started cheating, which I don't buy into that logic. But, hey, I'm not a voter. And, you know, it is a museum. You want to put them in? Fine. No, there's other bigger things that I have problems with baseball than if Bonds and Clemens get in. But enjoy this year, because this might be the last year that you have guys go in and there's no question mark attached to them when it comes to performance-enhancing drugs. Because after this, if you open the doors to Clemens and Bonds, then I don't think you can keep anybody else out. Yeah, Paul.
About 5 years ago, Clemens and Bonds both got about 30% of the vote. Yep. That was about their lowest. Yep. Last year, 2018, Roger Clemens got 57.3% of the vote. Barry Bonds a tick below at 56.4%. They need to get, what, 75%?
Yep. Yeah, I think that's going to happen next year, it feels like. But Bonds, Clemens, Halladay, Edgar Martinez, and, of course, Mariano Rivera. I think Schilling is going to be in there. Schilling should be in before Bonds and Clemens. But he was at 51% last year. Schilling should be in before Bonds and Clemens. There's no question mark attached to him. Now, you can talk about his political views, how outspoken he has been. That should not matter. I couldn't care less. If you're going to put guys in who delivered, were big-time clutch guys, when you need a game to win, you know, Schilling's on the short list of pitchers you would want. You know, in a situation like that, you have to win a game. And a postseason game, Curt Schilling is there. He's probably one of the top 5 in the modern-day era that you would want on the mound. Separate personality. I didn't like Barry Bonds. But that doesn't mean, you know, I didn't see greatness when I saw him. I think what was more amazing is that I looked at Bonds the way I looked at Lance Armstrong, or I looked at Clemens the way I looked at Lance Armstrong. Everybody was cheating, and they were that much better than fellow cheaters. Like, Lance should be celebrated in a sport that's completely tainted, in my opinion. I mean, the sport is all about cheating. And with Bonds and Clemens, they did what everybody else was doing because they saw everybody else doing it. And don't tell me, well, they were Hall of Famers before they cheated. You're not a Hall of Famer if you cheat. And that's the way I view Bonds and Clemens. But you want to put them in? Great. No issue with that. They got the numbers there. Edgar Martinez, if you have an award named for a player, I think the player should probably be in the Hall of Fame. And I hope one day, and I don't know if you could start a campaign, but when they talk about contributions to the game, Buck O'Neil belongs in the Hall of Fame. And it would be posthumously. But what he did for so many ball players from the Negro Leagues, where he was the face of the Negro Leagues, where he would be the guy who would tell you how great somebody was. And he was also a very good baseball player. But I would hope one day that the voters get around to understanding what Buck O'Neil contributed to the history of the game. And that's what he did. You don't want to put him in as a player? Fine. Put him in as a contributor. If you're going to put in Bonds and Clemens, good God, put in Buck O'Neil. And Google him. He was just a joy. Like a true gentleman who made sure that you knew the stories of these players that you never got to see because there was no integration. So for you voters, while you ponder steroids, ponder the positive of Buck O'Neil with what he contributed to the game. Because you know what? He contributed more than Bonds and Clemens did. But that announcement will be later on today. Yes, Paulie.
Sammy Sosa got only 8% of the vote. He's not even close to going in the Hall of Fame. Sammy Sosa, for 5 years, had a 5-year run where he averaged 60 home runs a year.
Yeah, I know.
And if you don't care about PEDs, he had the greatest power run in MLB history, including Bonds. He had way more homers than Bonds in a 5-year run.
The only thing I can think of with Sammy is, Sammy wasn't a great player. I think that he used steroids and he became a great player, but I don't think naturally he was a great player. I think his first home run may have been off Roger Clemens, and he looked like he was 160 pounds in a White Sox uniform. But
a 5-year run where he hit 305. He didn't hit like 260.
Yeah.
He hit 305 and averaged 60 home runs a year for 5 seasons. Yeah. If like a guy, I know he wasn't injured or anything, but that's the greatest 5-year power run in history. And if you take steroids off the table, which you would have to do with Bonds and Clemens, he was not the complete player for as long as they were.
But you hear, and Bob Costas will join us tomorrow at this time. And, with Bonds and Clemens, the argument is they were Hall of Famers or on their way to the Hall of Fame before they cheated. But you know what? When you recharge your battery later in your career, no, you're still a cheat no matter what. No. The analogy I've made is if you're named Father of the Year for 7 consecutive years, then you cheat on your wife. Okay, you were Father of the Year, but not any longer.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.